Hi everyone, welcome to Access Prescriptor. In this video, I'm going to teach you the difference and also what is active and passive insufficiency, what it tells us. Come on, let's get dive into the video. Before we starting, decoding the name is the key. For example, osteokinematics. Osteo means bones, kinematics means movement you can see. So osteokinematics, bone movement. Arthro, kinematics, joint movements. Concave convex rule. Concave convex rule means there is a concave and convex surface. If the movement gives some rules that which direction it moves. So the name itself gives some clarity like that. Active and passive insufficiency. Actively, which is means that is involving actively. Passive means that is involving passively. Insufficiency, the word of insufficiency tells us not able to produce sufficient force or sufficient movement. That's called insufficient. Then this principle applies only in two joint muscles. The muscle passes more than two joint, that where it was applied. Okay, so usually you have seen this example, right? We're not going to learn this wrist example of active passive insufficiency. I'll give you another example to learn about the active passive insufficiency. Consider I'm leaning back. I want to activate my quadriceps and hip flexors together. So my knee is in extended position, hip is in flex position. What I'm trying to do here is extending the knee more and then lifting the hip flexion. My knee is also in extension, hip is also in flexion. The rectus femoris, major muscle, all both. I feel more muscular activation here. I can't do more range of motion. I can't lift more because of active insufficiency of the rectus femoris. Actively muscle contracted on the both the ends, so it was already shortened. Actin myosin shortened. There is no room for further post production and contracting the muscle. For example, I am flexing the knee, so you can see more hip flexion range of motion because this portion it was not active, right? So we can see more range of motion now. The same way we can apply to passive insufficiency also. Passive insufficiency, hamstring muscle helps in knee flexion and hip extension. So I am creating hip flexion, knee in a extension position. Now hamstring goes for stretching, lengthening, passively elongated. So that is called hamstring passive insufficiency. So now you had a better understanding of active passive insufficiency, I feel. The same thing applied here also, which we usually learn in the wrist example. So keeping the arm like this, flexing is tough, extending is easy. Because if you try to flex, already the wrist is getting flexed. All the flexors are passing the wrist and fingers. So again it has to flex. Actively is good insufficient. There is no room for contracting the muscle more. And this is where the muscle gets stretched completely. Extensor stretch and the wrist extensor also getting stretched, and interphalangeal joint, metacarpophalangeal joint flexor extensor also getting stretched. That is where you are getting passive insufficiency. Well, keeping the arm like this, flexion is easy, extending tough. Extension here going for the both wrist extension, finger everywhere extension. So active insufficiency here, passive insufficiency here. This is what we learned. This is how we can apply into another joint muscle group also. I'm looking forward you to share some more examples in the comment section. Hope this video was useful. Happy learning. Don't forget to share with your friends.